In spite of all this spaghetti behind me, classically trained, Laura Escudé is a producer, sound artist, creating magic through music, absolutely, technology and consciousness. An innovator and entrepreneur, Laura's live show combines complex technology, no further comment required, with a profound passion for music and art. Infusing neoclassical and sleek futuristic style with raw emotion, Escudé has performed her live electronic shows at many festivals and events including Osheaga, Onderlinda and NAMM, and now here. Laura became the first Ableton certified trainer back in 2008, since when she has designed shows for Yee now, Jay-Z, I think Jay-Z's still Jay-Z, and opened for Miguel on his 2015 Wild Heart tour. Over the years, a new generation of music programmers and live show designers that Laura has trained have gone on to tour with such prominent artists as The Weeknd, yay, Harry Styles, yeah, Ariana Grande, Mariah Carey, and Logic. Wow, amazing. Anyway, please give it up for the wonderful Laura Escudé.
Aha. Does it sound good? Okay, good. All right, I just moved it a little bit backwards. Thank you for that lovely introduction. That's okay, I'm not offended. If anyone needs to leave at any time, you know, I understand. I do that too. Pop in my head and say hello and then duck out to the next thing, but I hope I'm engaging enough for you to stay. Maybe if I do some weird vocal effects, you'll stay, or not, I don't know. Who was at my performance last night? Be honest. Okay, all right, a handful of you, cool. Hey, I want a beer. Where's my beer? No. It was really fun. I had a really good time. And I would love to break down what I was doing last night. My texts that were here last night affectionately refer to it as spaghetti for lunch. And they're unfortunately not on the case today, so I had to set all this stuff up by myself, which is why we are in this room and not in the other room. So I applaud you for finding me over here. And I applaud the folks at Synthplex for having the wherewithal to realize that I need an hour to set up all this stuff. I could have just brought an iPad. That would have been great, actually. The gentleman in the second row, suggestion, you know? Next time I think I might do that. In theory, this is what I do. Actually, as I was setting all this stuff up, I thought, maybe I could just say, this is what I do, this is the things that I use, and not actually plug anything in, but I thought, no, I'm gonna actually do it up right. This is Synthplex, right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? So, without further ado, I would love to share with you the LE setup. Some of you might have known me from my former days when I was known as Alux. Anyone? Some of you? Yes. I've had a few name changes over the years. You know, identity crises. What I've got going on is, I'm gonna try to not creak as much as I can on top here, but it is a little creaky, so apologies for that. I've got my main Ableton Live computer. Who uses Ableton Live here? Oh, yeah, amazing. Lots of Ableton Live nerds. When they say I was the first Ableton certified trainer, it just means that I've been in the game for a while. I'm old. I'm older than I look. So I've got my Ableton Live computer, I've got my PC computer, which is running on my visuals, which sadly you can't see right now, but if you were at the show last night, you saw them behind me, right? And so when I trigger a scene in Ableton Live, it triggers my video. So I've got Resolume going on my PC computer. I also at times use the Unreal gaming engine. Anyone familiar with Unreal? Sweet, handful of you, awesome. I don't have that set up today because that's another layer of complexity. I'm at 75% complexity right now. Couldn't go the full. And then I've got another computer over here, which is running what's called MIDI Merlin, and that is an audio to MIDI application. And it is sending, well, it's converting audio to MIDI with my violins. You know, I have this side chain thing on my vocal. You guys could just see what I'm doing right here. I'm just gonna turn it off. During my show, I like to have the side chain with my violin to the vocal so that when I'm playing violin, it's not also going through the vocal mic, because that's just terrible. Who wants to hear dry violin, right? Ugh, it's terrible. It's like nails on a chalkboard, especially when you got these Eventide H9s down here to use. Got some Eventide users here. I see some, I heard a, yeah. That's how I feel about them. So the MIDI Merlin computer over here, I've got this clear, fancy violin that is a 3D modeled violin after a Stradivarius. It's a company called 3D Various. And that is going into my Apogee Element 24, which is down on the ground here that you can't see it, but it's there. And so the audio goes through this computer, and then it converts to MIDI from a MIDI Sport 2x2. Who remembers those? Yes, I still have it. It still works. I used to work at M-Audio tech support back in 2005, 2006. Back when, you know, M-Audio was in its heyday, and I stockpiled like a bunch of those MIDI interfaces because that was before the lifetime warranty stopped. So those are built like tanks, and they still work 15 years later. It's amazing. So anyway, I digress. But those of you, as the kids say, if you know, you know. So some of you know, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm going out of the MIDI Man into the iConnect MIDI 4 Plus. And that is sending MIDI to this computer and then also my PC computer. So it's just one unit, and it connects to both of the computers via USB. Hopefully you guys are following me here. I have a diagram that I can just like email you guys to if that's easier. Probably should just pull that up right now and not bore you with my talking. So I've got the iConnectivity 4 Plus going on. And then I also have an Apollo X4, which is plugged into the Ableton Live computer for all of my sound stuff. And when I do shows like last night, I actually had a lot of more synthesizers, since this is Synthplex. But seeing that I didn't have the help today that I had yesterday, I told them to take my synthesizers home because you guys are all synthed out, right? Is it possible? No, it's not possible. But you don't want to hear me play synths. I'm better at violin anyway. So I do have a few synths that I play. Last night I was playing the TR-8 drum machine. Woo woo! And I was also playing the Novation Peak. And I was also playing the Moog Subsequent 37. So, continuing the gear tour, I've got this lovely foot controller. I am gonna lean down to pick this up because this is so special. I actually have two of these. This is called the POC. Some of you might know the POC. I've been using it for 10 years. The creator lives in LA and he's amazing, and he loaned me several of them just for this performance. So shout out Trevor from Extempo Designs. Thank you so much. It is a wireless QWERTY mappable foot controller. And so I use this to control all the loops on my violin. So if you see, I'm going to try to make this not awkward. I'm going to put it back down. When I press the first button, you can see that my looper in Ableton Live turns on. And then I can also stop the looper, and I can clear the looper, and I can change different sounds with it as well. So I'm just gonna play a little bit here so you can hear what I'm talking about. Now I am gonna turn the sidechain back on so you don't hear dry violin, because it's as well. Okay, I think that's everything. That was a snippet of it, and it's always terrible to realize that there was one cable that you didn't plug in today. And it was the MIDI going into the microcosm, and I was just like, it's not synced. This is really annoying. So real time, watch me tech myself. I did label everything with pink tape. You know, so. Oh, that feels so much better now, just knowing that it's going to be in time now. Okay, so other things. This iPad here. There's a way to show. Oh, yeah. The the thing that I bumped into while I was playing. That's the camera. Let's see. How's that? Is that good? Okay, let me see if I can also see it. And then have the mic here and play a little game of do-si-do with all the tech. All right, beautiful. This is my pride and joy. I love this. I love this. I love this so much. Okay, I'm a little extra today, sorry. So I've got a whole page for all my violin loopers here. As you can see, as you could see on the Ableton page, which you're not seeing anymore because you're seeing my hands and you're seeing the iPad, but I can clear that loop that was just playing. I can start any of my loops. I can mute any of the loops. I can do various different vocal loops. I can also loop any of my synths on demand from here, and I can clear and stop them and overdub and all the things. So this is like looper palooza here. There's a lot of loopers going on. And then I can also fade in and out the loopers. So on the right-hand side, I've got a 1 bar fade in, 1 bar fade out, 4 and 8 bars. And then I've got global 1 bar, 4 bar, 8 bar, fade in and fade out. I can also stop all the loops and clear all the loops here. So if I get myself into a pickle, which sometimes it happens, has anyone ever looped something and you're just like, why did I just do that? Undo. I mean, we're not perfect, you know? I mean, are we? No, is anyone here perfect? Okay, someone in the back. Yes! It's because you have that fresh hat. Yeah. But for those of us that aren't, and we need to undo, I have myself covered. So I've got that. I'm trying to make sure that you can still see this. Oh, yeah, more like there. And that is the first page of the iPad. So this is an app called Touch OSC. Does anyone use Touch OSC? Yes. So I cannot take credit for building this. I did design it, but I hired someone to actually implement it because I was like, this is gonna take me like a year to learn how to do. I don't have that kind of time. I like to make music. I mean, I like to nerd out, but I also like to make music. So, shout out to all the people that do take the time to like learn how to program Macs and Touch OSC and all this crazy stuff, because it's a rabbit hole. I started to go down the rabbit hole on, anyone else feel me on this? You start going down the rabbit hole and then you're just like, this is too deep of a rabbit hole. So anyway, this is the looper page. And then on the next page, this is kind of like my favorite page. I've got program changes for all of my instruments. So I've got my peak, my hydrosynth, my Moog, my controllers. So I've got, when I do have my keyboard, I don't know if anyone follows me on Instagram. Shameless plug to do so, if not, because it's fun. But I was talking about how my key step wasn't powering up, and that was, my MIDI source here. So I just went by the booth, and we're gonna work it out. It's gonna be fine. But when I do have that, I can play Omnisphere. Heard some people talking about Omnisphere. It's like ubiquitous in this community, right? Who doesn't use Omnisphere? Okay, that was a better question, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So with Omnisphere, I can choose my 8 different Omnisphere patches from my iPad, which is very, very cool. Using the live mode. Does anyone use the live mode when they play live? Okay. If not, it's really cool. You could try it because, before I was adding, I didn't know, and you're just adding multiple Omnispheres, and you're like, wait a minute, there's gotta be a better way, and there is, actually. You can have 8 in the live mode. And then also this changes between this is my newest favorite synth, but Scarbo, anyone? Scarbo, Teleton Audio. It works in Contact. It's vibes, for sure. Noir piano, you know, just from the regular Contact, you can't beat that. And then I've got a blend between Noir and Scarbo. So anyway, I also can control the presets on my violin. I missed the most important part of this. The violin is playing the Continue Mini. I think that there was a continuum session going on down the way, like at 12 or something. So if anyone caught that, I'm really jealous because Clifton is a genius. But I have this Continue Mini synthesizer here. Just when I thought I had talked about all the gear, you know, there's just more. There's MIDI cables. Oh, there's also a MIDI fighter. MIDI fighter. Okay, so Continue Mini. Da 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 da. Some of you might know this as a touch, MPE, touch sensitive, really badass, sound design heaven synthesizer. Does anyone have one? Yes. You've got everything. I know you. We've been doing this for like 20 years. You've been coming to see me present for a long time, which feels good. Thank you. So the violin is controlling the Continue Mini through MIDI Merlin on this computer. And the Continue Mini is connected by audio to this computer. And then I'm gonna, actually, if we could switch to my computer real quick. I need a Britney Spears headset mic, so I just realized that. So for next time, I'm gonna bring my Sennheiser microphone so I can just like walk around. There's this beautiful application called Razor. Does anyone know Randy George? Yes, you know everything, Aaron. I love you. Randy was one of my friends from M Audio back in the day. He is a thereminist. He's sadly not here this weekend, but he normally comes. He's out of town. He's a thereminist who makes the most genius niche software that like maybe 10 people want to use, and I'm one of them. So I'm always just like, Randy, what have you created now for me? Like, what weirdness? So he actually created the MIDI Merlin software, which is converting the audio to MIDI in real time. And I know that there's other audio to MIDI softwares out there. There's a lot of them, right? Right? There's like the Voclia microphone now that converts audio to MIDI from your voice and the microphone or whatever instrument. There's a bunch of, like, there's the WIDI one. There's all these MIDI, audio to MIDI. They try. Well, I think Vocali is good, but the other ones, they try. And when you play violin through them, it sounds like hot garbage. And so Randy somehow managed to make this MIDI Merlin software, which is on this other computer, so I can't show you the interface. Show you a screenshot of it. So there's the MIDI Merlin software, and it basically it's got a picture of a Merlin with some notes, and how could you not love it, right? So I digress. So Randy wrote this software called Razor to level up the already amazing audio to MIDI, because I can play violin through it, through MIDI Merlin. I can do vibrato, it sounds good, there's a wide range of stuff. And then he wrote this interface for the Continue Mini called Razor. And so, keep it on the computer screen, but I'm just gonna show you, like, when I change on my app, this is like, do you understand? This is next level, y'all. I'm changing the presets of the MIDI violin synthesizer on the iPad. Anyway, I geek out on this stuff. I don't know. So I can just, you know, change the presets and. better when I'm actually playing it. I'm gonna get Clifton to actually help me design some like custom Continue Mini presets because he's awesome at that stuff. And I'm kind of like, you know, I like to use presets and then change them, which, you know, does anyone do that? I know there's a lot of purists from Scratch people here, but with the Continue Mini, it's so deep. If you go into the Continue Mini software, it's like really like a foreign language. You're just like, how does this even work? So I leave that to the professionals. So we've got the Razor software here, and then I want to go back to the overhead, please. Thank you so much. Can you imagine, originally I was going to have to be doing all this stuff myself, and I had a moment where I was just like, I don't think I can do all of that and think about all of this. So, thank you. So, coming back here, I also can change, you guessed it, all of the H9 presets from here. So, including the vocals. Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. Why is it not working? Oh wait, it should be working. Why not? Well, another thing that I will have to check. Oh wait, yeah, there it's working. Check. There's some weird stuff on here too. And oh yeah. The Wii, got auto-tune on the Wii, because who doesn't love auto-tune, I mean. I love it. I don't use it all the time, but when I do, I just like really commit to it, you know? Because it's like a sound, right? It allows you to express yourself. After I toured with all these rappers doing their auto-tune for like 10 years, yes, I did that. I really realized that like you can express yourself through auto-tune, you know, in a way that you can't without it if you're not a singer, and then sometimes it just sounds really cool. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, totally. I won't mention the name of he's not very popular right now, but I think you know who I'm talking about. So, other effects. Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff on here. And then the violin. So, yeah. I ran out of notes here, but you know what? I am gonna map it to something, just for this. See how I like real time do this? Just being real with y'all. So I'm gonna click on the button, and I'm gonna click on a pad here. And then I'm going to make sure that nothing else is sharing that pad. Which I don't think it is because I deleted something from that pad yesterday. I don't have any of this stuff labeled, it's just all in here. So now, I also want to select the vocal track too so I can see which mode it's on. So I'm gonna press the pad. Get out of MIDI map mode. Sorry it's so creaky, I'm just like, I'm on a boat. Exactly. We're going to turn that on and off there. So we're going to turn the side chain off so I can play the violin. Black Hole. Like one of the best Eventide effects of all time. Am I right? Yeah. There's just, you know, so many. There's some really weird stuff. Try to get that. That is for my like avant-garde, like, we're not in a key, don't make me be in a key performance. Maybe also the stuff, I have all the weird stuff at the end. Oh, that one's not as weird. That's a vibe though. This one's a vibe. It's like very metal. So anyway, we're still here. Probably can't see this, but I'm trying. And then on the next tab, I'm just gonna spend the entire hour talking about my iPad. Because I love it. I could have just brought the iPad. My friend in the second row had such a great idea, you know? But then I wouldn't be able to like have all these awkward moments where things are not working quite as I wanted them to, and you know, that's always fun. I can mix my in-ears on the next page. So you might notice that I'm wearing one right now to kind of hear what's going on and not the other, because, you know, like most pop stars, they think it's cool to take one of them out. But actually it's not really that good for your hearing, but right now I'm behind this speaker system, so it's all good. But yeah, I can mix the levels of my in-ears on the fly during the performance. So if I want to turn, you know, the vocal up a little bit more, or down, or the violin up or down. I also have in-ear monitors for whenever I collaborate with people. So whoever collaborates with me gets their very own iPad with their very own in-ear mix, or I can control it from my iPad. So when they're like, I need more of my vocal in my ear, I'm like, I got you, boo. So, and then I also have a toggle here, so I can toggle between listening to my in-ear mix, their in-ear mix, or front of house. So if I ever want to hear what front of house sounds like, I mean, obviously, I can't experience it from the PA, but from my own ears, what I'm sending to front of house, because I try to send to front of house what I want it to sound like. And that doesn't always sound like my mix, because I like to listen to my violin really loud. I have 3 violins. I didn't even bust out the pink one yet, because I was just like, okay, you know, there's too much stuff on here. But anyway, there's 3 violins. And so I can toggle between listening to all these different mixes. I can also toggle a talkback to my collaborator, so I can change this microphone to just be in their ears. And so I can be like, hey, the next song is, I don't know, what do you think it should be? And they can be like, well, maybe we could play this song. Could we improvise? So we can talk to each other in our in-ears without having a separate microphone, because I don't know, who here is like toured and used talkbacks and stuff like that? Yeah. So, you know, it's like an extra microphone. It's cool, but like when you have a monitor engineer that's setting it all up, it's great. When you're setting it all up, having one microphone is really great. So, and does anyone not know what a talkback is? Because I can elaborate more on that. So talkback is like, you know, if you ever go to a concert and you see like the drummer like talking on a microphone during the song, but you don't hear his voice, and he's just like, yeah, man, did you see that that Raiders game last night? Yeah, it was like really cool. Yeah, I saw that. That was great. There was like a touchdown. I think is that the right sport? Okay. There was like a touchdown. I don't know. So that's what people actually are talking about in the in-ears. Just, you know, just letting everyone know. If you see people on stage and they're like, they also could be like, hey, I'd like a little bit more of my drums and my in-ears, you know, because they're fancy and they have someone controlling all that stuff for them. But for me, right now, until I get to the level where I have a monitor engineer, which is gonna be very soon, I'm doing it all. Doing it all here. Okay, so next tab is my tempo control. So I can change the tempo or the time signature of my session. I could also like just go up and down. So if I've looped something, not in Looper, because if you loop something in Looper and you change the tempo, it sounds like hot garbage. Why? Because it actually changes the pitch. At this point, I love you, Ableton. Thank you so much for all the things that you've done. However, you've got warping everywhere else in the program. Why not put warping into the looper, please? I think I've been asking for this for the last 15 years, and it hasn't happened. So I think it's very back burner. But I love the looper regardless, because it has that one button that does multiple things, which I can talk about later. Okay, MIDI fighter. So I have all of these return tracks going on my computer. Can we switch to the computer? I love this. This is amazing. Thank you so much. All right, switching to the computer. Got all these return tracks. I used to use returns for my outputs, but now I have this other routing system, which I'll show you in a little bit. But all of these returns can be controlled by the MIDI fighter, and I can activate them through the iPad. So if you go back to the iPad, yeah. So I can control tracks, synths, TR8 controllers, violin, continue mini violin, and then vocals. And so if I just click on tracks and turn up, let's see if I play a sound. The iPad basically acts as an interface for me to change the focus of all the knobs on the MIDI fighter. So I can go from tracks to synths to the TR8 and so on and so forth. And then when I'm done, like a lot of times when I'm like going between songs and I am whiling out, is it Wildin? Wildin? I don't know. Wildin' Out, is that a TV show? And I just like go crazy and I'm like, I don't know what to do, I'm just gonna like turn up all the knobs. And then I can just like make all the knobs go back to 0 by pressing a button here, which is really cool. Transition trick. Very cool transition trick. Also a very cool transition trick, as I'm doing more improv, half songs, is just like a mute button. You know, and you just like mute the tracks for like one beat. It's amazing what it does, because if you're looping, out, in, it's like a whole new song, right? I just discovered that recently when I was watching an artist loop who's amazing. His name is Parangi. And it was just like so simple what he did, and it brought fresh life to the loops. So I'm taking that trick. Then, after this page, okay, we're still here. I have a whole page to control the microcosm. So there's this guy, Jamie Liddell. Anyone familiar with him? No, he's an artist from the UK. Actually, my biggest track on Spotify is featuring him. So you should all go listen to it, and so I can get, you know, my cup of coffee every month from Spotify. Thank you, Spotify. But you know, it's got like 500,000 plays in a year, which is good for me, you know, a little independent artist like me. Anyway, he's got a Patreon, and he released this iPad app to control the microcosm, and it is just brilliant. So I mean, you can like record, you can do LFO stuff, you can basically just like do anything that you can on the unit, but I like to be able to like clear things and change things and loop, delete, and undo and all that stuff from the iPad. So that's my iPad. Yay! Maybe we can. I'll stop talking about the iPad. Like, enough of the iPad. Microcosm? Anyone familiar with the microcosm? Yes! Oh, you got the hologram shirt on, Jim. Jim and I also go way back. Jim met me when I just moved to LA. I was just graduated from college. I was very young and naive, and I got a job at M Audio. I thought it was the best thing ever. It was actually, at the time. But I digress. Jim's wearing the hologram shirt. I've got the microcosm up here. It's that sound from my regular violin here. I've got it muted, but you do like all these like crazy sequences and arps and repeats. And it can get really weird. And also I think my violin is still in a weird preset, that weird bass thing. So, here we go. And now it's synced because I plugged in the MIDI. So I feel so much better. I was looping that first thing, I'm like looping something that's unsynced in a room full of music nerds. It's a travesty. Anyway, I can just like play this thing all day. But there's different like types of. I don't even know what you call these. They're not presets. What do you call these, Jim? They're just like weirdness. There's different weirdness. So it's like really good for instruments and vocals, and it's a granular pedal. Hopefully that describes it best. So anyway, my favorite one is our one. Because you can just play one note, and you can just be like, it sounds really cool, and I'm not doing anything, and I'm looping it. It sounds great. Okay, so that's the microcosm. What else? I actually was gonna do like a completely other presentation with like a PowerPoint and stuff like that, and then I just realized, you know what, no one wants to see a PowerPoint. So we're just gonna do it live. So this Wii is going through, I know bear with me, this is a little convoluted, but it's going through the second Mac laptop and sending MIDI to the first Mac laptop. You might be wondering why. Well, the reason is because the Wii's are not pairing with the new M1 Max. It's a known issue, and yes, I've been on Reddit, and yes, I've talked to all the people and done all the things, and there's nothing to be done. And I was really bummed because this is like something that I really like to do. And I like to do vocal effects with and I have to use it. And so I was talking to I just got this laptop actually just a few weeks ago because my old laptop, which old, 2019, so old. Just, was just choking. And probably because I have so much stuff going on. So I was like, okay, please, if I buy a brand new laptop, can I please do all the things on it? And ta-da! My wish was granted. Now I can do all the things. So anyway, I got this new laptop, spent a week trying to get everything to work. The Wii didn't work. Then I just talked to my genius friend, Jules, who was the one that co-designed the iPad app. He implemented it. And he said, well, why don't you just connect it to your old computer and then send the MIDI out to your main computer? And since I already have MIDI going out from that computer, because of the Continue Mini, the MIDI Merlin, and all that kind of stuff, it was just like really simple. So that's how that's routed. And I can loop myself from here and clear the loop and turn on the auto tune and delays and all that kind of stuff. So, really a fan of this. I guess I would love to talk about my session now. So let's go into, thank you so much. See, in the future, I'll just, it'll just be in my glasses or something, and just in my brain, and I'll think, switch to, okay. But for now, this is amazing. You can clear the glasses. So, I'm gonna ramble on for a few more minutes, and then I'll take some questions if anyone has any. If not, then we can just go get a beer, or coffee, or tea, or water, or nothing. I didn't talk about the ohm. Okay, so the ohm. Who has an ohm? Kurt sort of has a ohm. He's like, I sort of have another. Oh my gosh. Does anyone know that this is like some real legacy shit? I've had this thing for, I don't know, 10 plus, 15 years maybe. It still works, but they don't sell them anymore, sadly. But I use this to navigate through my session. I've got effects on all of my violins. I've got, they're so good. I've got the looper faders here. I've got track effects, global things. If I want to like ping to my tuner and my violin real quick. Turn off the microcosm, but I can tune myself real quick. So there's a lot that's going on here on this controller. And so, going back to the session, thank you. I've got, as I mentioned before, it's kind of like a hybrid set. Let me make this, let me see if that's a little more pleasing. I had it zoomed in big last night because, I try not to look at the computer, but sometimes I have some notes for myself on the right-hand side, like, end, play video. So when I do that, it brings up my logo video on the PC. Let's see if I can do this without wrecking everything. There you go. So I have some like little reminders for myself. Like those of you that were there last night, did you participate in the choir sampling exercise? Jim did. Yeah, that was fun. So I have a little reminder for myself here. Audience choir A. I eventually actually want to get on the iPad. I had this thought after last night, since, I thought I was done talking about the iPad. I'm sorry. But on the iPad, having notes for myself about the set list, because that's a really good idea, rather than having it in Ableton and having to look at the computer. It's better to look at an iPad on the stage rather than a computer, right? Because, when you look at the computer, people wonder, what do they wonder? Exactly. That joke, it never gets old, does it? It doesn't. So going down my set, I've got a combination of like different songs, and then like the first couple things are literally just some loops, and then I play and loop violin and sing over them. On the second song, you can't hear it right now because I didn't bring my peak, or I had my peak sent home. But there's a MIDI sequence, there's an ARP sequence that's sent to my peak, and so that kind of plays the instrument for me, so I can get to be a little lazy. And then I also have the option to play it myself if I want to, but I have just like some different sequences going down here. Also different program changes for each of my synthesizers. I can change the program changes from the iPad, but then if I have a specific preset that I want to have turn on at the beginning of a song, I've got this really cool Mad program launcher. Again, Randy George, genius fellow, made this amazing free app. It's on the Max for Live site. And basically, you can see here that we've got these different numbers. And so those numbers correlate to the different patches on the peak or whatever other instrument that I'm using. So same thing with the Moog, same thing with the Hydrosynth, same thing with the H9s. And so when I press a button on the pad, on the iPad, it's changing the presets through this thing called Mad Program Launcher. Again, free on maxforlive.com. So let's see what else. My control. So this is my synth section. So first it was the tracks and loops and things like that. And I feel like do I need to wrap it up? Is that a wrap it up? I know I started late, but I wanted to make sure that everyone got their full hour.
Well, it's difficult because then we're
holding up other people. Okay.
But Laura Escudé, you are one of the key reasons we will change the format because an hour with you is just not enough.
Oh, thank you. I do have courses about all this stuff online if you want to go deeper. Or you can message me on Instagram. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Oh, casual, very casual.